Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome aboard to WOR and the Legacy Division. We're here for our final mystery event here. We are taking a trip to Silverstone for the reverse British Grand Prix. It is myself, James Otter, alongside Adam Roberts-Bobberts for your event here tonight, where we could be crowning a champion. As said, here is your calendar. We are here on April 21st at our Mystery Grand Prix. We are at a very, very wet British Grand Prix here tonight for what is going to be a tumultuous event, to say the least. We could be crowning a champion tonight, and it's certainly in the Shizou Cedar Igniter's hands here, Bobberts.
It certainly is, yes, yeah. And, well, what's to say that they cannot do it tonight? But, you know, AMR will certainly do their damnedest to try and prevent that from happening. And, you know, they had the perfect result last time out at Kota, getting that 1-2, and were completely dominant that race. So they will need to do the same again, really, if to have a chance. They've gone with the same lineup as well of AMR, which is a testament to those two drivers with, like I said, the brilliant performance that they put in. But it is going to be down to what Dirk and Snack can do here at a very wet, soggy Silverstone. And obviously, he said the reverse circuit. So, yes, trying to remember all the corner names, but in the opposite way around. That's certainly going to be challenging for me, let alone for both of us.
Yeah, certainly, as well as I'm just keeping an eye out on the grid graphics. I hope this is the right one, I'll be honest with you. I think this one was published, might have been the 14th, so I don't even know if this is the correct graphic or not. But either way, one thing that we do know is with Dirk and Silo leading the way here tonight for SCI, they're putting all the eggs in their basket here to try and become another set of champions once again here tonight. So just keeping an eye out, just having a look. I don't think this is the right graphic. I don't think we actually have a live graphic here on this one, so we'll get a full correction on that one. We are going to go straight to our live stream though now, because with 16 minutes left in this session, this short qualifying session for the reverse British Grand Prix, it is absolutely sodden here on circuit here. Now we're just having a look at the setup here. We've got intermediate tyres on Dirk's car here tonight. The permutations are pretty clear cut at the moment. It's an 88-point gap that the Shizou Cedar Igniters need over second place team, which would be AMR at the moment, to become champions here tonight. The current gap at the moment is 103, so certainly in the hands at the moment of the Scottish outfit.
Yes, yeah, obviously, you know, they pretty much got one hand on the title. It's a case of can they get that second hand firmly gripped in that trophy for what, well, at least for, you know, Shizou Cedar Igniter's case, at least, is a back-to-back, you know, winning championship. But obviously they have, but you know, as part of Team Shizou, they have done that since season 4. So they're going to try and go in the terms of NASCAR for a 4-peat, and yeah, you know, back to back, which is certainly no easy feat, and it just shows the testament to the quality of the team. Obviously, that, you know, Shizou Cedar Igniters currently at this day. A former driver of SCI is GT10's uncle, is the first driver to start their flying lap, coming through Stowe, obviously going through the left and gets kicks out there in front of him. And uncle has had, he's kind of revived GT10, I think we could say, Jota, but of late they've gone, unfortunately, back to their old ways and struggling to pick up points.
Yeah, certainly a failure on Uncle's part, to be honest with you, with the general form in the Legacy Division. That's not to say his individual form has fallen completely off a cliff. In other championships, he's actually doing rather well. Top of the standings in Tier 1, immediately going to be, you know, one for consideration later down the line as a man who is going to be taking sort of Silo's place, if you will, as the fastest man on circuit. Worth making note, though, that I did see, unless I am being completely, what's the right word for it, duped on this one here. Silo left SCI, I believe, earlier on today, so I just want to get a full correction on that one, or whether or not I've been duped. But
that is correct.
So as a result of that one, he's not taking part in this particular championship on board or with SCI, so they're resulting in that one with Snack here tonight with Dirk, so that's going to be one to keep an eye out on. But Uncle, nonetheless, though, is you know, considered for one of the fastest men on console here. He has had a bit of a tumultuous time, to say the least, in WR Legacy, but he's set the first time of the day here, 1:45.341. Less said about Bahrain, the better, if we're perfectly honest with you, but he will still want to try and carry the flame as much as he can and try and get GT10 up in the standings. Whilst we're waiting on the laps coming in as well, there's a quick reminder of the standings. Usually we wouldn't do this, but it's important we keep tabs on it, because the Suzuki Igniters, as I said, are on 515, as we've just seen Esco go fastest, by the way, on the wet tyre. So clearly the wet tyre is the choice tyre at the moment. As it stands, though, SCI 515, 103 in front of AMR, who are 140 behind RSC, dropping to third. ET8 climbing the standings very gently now up to P5 overall in this standings. Down at the bottom, BRC now taking the foot of the table with fastest stay true at 160, 20 points in front. IRT, after what has been a fabulous Bahrain Grand Prix a couple of rounds ago, they are P8, Grand Track 10 into the 200s now on in P7. So, you know, opportunity knocks for Suzuki Igniters here tonight. I said 88 points is all they need, so they can still lose points here tonight and still be crowned champions.
It certainly can, as unfortunately Prevail has lost connection. But yeah, certainly, like I said, it's in their hands, and you know, all they've just got to make sure and do is that they, you know, stick with AMR. They don't have to necessarily battle them, just as long as, even if they're just behind them, you know, you kind of could say that is job pretty much done with. And you know, it kind of then, obviously, you're going into next week, if they can, takes all the stress away. It could just go and have some fun and not have to worry about it. Obviously, still make sure you can finish the race, because you never know, you know, for any penalty aspects, you know. That's why they ran the risk last season for me doing the final race of the season for them. I can't believe how quickly that's gone by, if I'm honest. But yes, certainly this is make sure you can, like, essentially get the job done tonight, and then, you know, I'm not going to say put the feet up for Brazil come next week, but at least they can, you know, they don't have to worry about anything or be challenged to an extent. Back into qualifying though, and it certainly shows that for once the wet tyres are actually the better tyre to be on at this early stage. And yeah, so you got, you know, Esco and there with a 42 flat, and the, you know, Rydal on a 42.8, the best intermediate runner. So maybe it's a case of wet to best now. Could intermediates be better later in the session? But obviously that rain is just typical British weather for those who don't live in this country. That's pretty much what happens near enough on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, just getting a full clarity on the maths at the moment, by the way. I believe it actually might be 95 points the gap's needed, but nonetheless, it's still, you know, opportunity knocks really for Suzuki Igniters, because I said the gap is 103, so it really doesn't matter for them at the moment. They could lose points and still be crowned champions here tonight. Fastest lap times set so far are those on the wet tyres. Esco and, well, Lick 54, we'll just say. He's in second place up at the top of the standings alongside Esco at the moment. So that's the fastest stay true team and GT10. Alex Loffer, though, on the intermediates, going third fastest for AMR. What a season. You know, that's it, really. You know, the fact of the matter is that Alex Loffer and the team over at AMR, what a season they've had. They are now the front-running Spanish team in WR Legacy, and probably up front generally at the moment. ET8's lack of diversity within the squad has just meant that AMR has just really swung up that position as the front-running Spanish team at the moment.
They certainly have. I mean, you just go back to last season where they finished 5th overall, which was, you know, a decent season for them, you know, with a couple of wins and a couple of podiums. But then nothing really else to shout about too much. And but this season they've had the consistency the whole way through pretty much. And like I said, minus the second driver not scoring any points in Spain, they've scored points in every single round. And that's, you know, a great testament to the drivers, to the whole team, and how much they've improved, not only as a, you know, as a driver aspect, but also maybe engineering side as well. So, you know, full credit to AMR, and you know, that is why they are in second place, 37 points clear of RSC, who just seem to have been, I'm not going to say hit a wall these last 3 weeks, but they've certainly gone backwards rather than forwards.
Towery at the moment, currently following Leon. He's just heading his way around his circuit and drifting his way around the circuit at the moment as well. There's a Silverstone Reverse offering its own individual challenges, but very slippy on circuit. Even on the dry line, you can see the number 11 is just not able to chuck the car into the corners that he wants without the rear stepping out. I've had a full check, by the way, full permutations note here for all of the geeks that love math on this one. This is how it is at the moment. 96 points as even Escri goes fastest. If the situation report is as follows, 96 points is what the gap needs to be between AMR and the Suzuki Igniters if the SCI want to be champions 100% outright. They can win with a gap deficit of 95 points if AMR or Ventauri do not win. It's as simple as that. Make that one what you will. Here comes Beyond as he comes across the line, goes fastest of anyone so far, 1:41.077. The rain started to lighten up as the track starting to improve with 8 and a bit minutes to go. Remember, this is a short qualifying session, so every lap's going to count.
Certainly is, yeah, and certainly have noticed that rain has certainly gotten lighter, like you said, these last few minutes or so. So those wet tyres that seem to be quicker at the start of the session certainly now has been switched completely the other way. Obviously, this is now those intermediates are certainly the tyre to be on. After Leon, yeah, 7 tenths clear, and even Eskrig in P2. Anybody out on a lap? I know Max van der Gies just finished his. He's in P4. Alex Loffer is on a lap, currently in P7, the second AMR driver, and last week's winner. Can he go back to back? Not just for AMR, but obviously here at Legacy Division, as he completely goes for the very karting line through Luffield now, and then through Woodcut Corner. It feels it's so weird saying that the wrong way around, but I'll get used to it nonetheless. No DRS obviously in these wet conditions, but we are 8 tenths up at the moment as we go past our teammates into what is now Sector 3. Just make sure you keep it on track through Farm Corner, through the tight twisty section here, second, third gear corner. You look like you're barely even moving in an F1 car going around these slow corners, but Alex off again, well, pretty easy for him in the end. Adrian goes into P2 with a 41.6, but here comes the Ferrari. Can he dismantle Leon for pole position? Not quite, but it's P2.
Yeah, not too bad indeed as well. Sorry, I was just on board with Sergio at the moment as well, one of the long-standing ET8 men as well. You may notice as well that you've got Ryderdal in P10 as well, so ET8's pacing around that midfield as it has been pretty much throughout the season. You may notice though we've only got 19 runners in this particular event. Main challenge is because, if I am right in saying it, is because of the RSC boys, so the BRC boys rather, the Bravo Racing Club are only fielding one driver tonight. Oh, has he gotten Sergio off of the circuit? That's not a clean way to do that one. Yeah, BRC's situation is simply put, they are serving a double qualifying ban because they submitted their lineup too late and only one person showed up.
Indeed, so not exactly the best there for BRC. Like I said, foot of the table, double qualifying ban, and unfortunately for Predestinato's case, it's more than very likely going to be starting P19 out of the 19 runners and riders, as long as Sergio can get a lap time on the board. That is Harm, who's just gone into P3 for fastest state true, so good lap there from Harm, obviously the team that's sitting 9th currently in the standings, currently on board with Ivan Eskrig. Obviously his teammate went to P2. And even Eskrig now want to try and get close to his teammate. He's pretty much a second up at his current best, so this should be provisional pole so long as he keeps it clean through this final sector, as that rain once again continues to lighten with less than 6 minutes to go. And I think it's going to be a simple case, Jota, is who is going to be the last driver to start their lap, because they will have the best conditions.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this session. Really been made defunct by the fact of this rain, because I think the lap times that are coming earlier on, of course, are going to get beaten by a country mile. Even Eskrig drifting his way straight to P1, 140.374. These lap times are coming in thick and fast. Dirk next across the line. Here he comes. He only goes P11. SCI are really starting to put a level of doubt in whether they're going to be taking the title here tonight with that qualifying result. 12th and 13th respectively, as Ryderdal comes across the line to go P2 overall. I'm also keeping an eye out on those towards the back. I'm looking at international racing teams, Mulder and Matthias Grier at the moment, the 17th place man with a 1:44.6 as well off the pace, but he's looking to try and improve where he can, and he is currently down 3 and a bit seconds at the moment, is Grier, so keep an eye out on Mulder. He's 1.6 seconds up as he comes across the line right now and only goes up to P10, but critically out qualifying both of the SCI guys. They're struggling here.
It certainly seemed to at this stage, especially Dirk obviously just completed his lap. Snack is on a lap, 1.2 seconds up though at the moment, and that is more like it, at least from one of the two SCI drivers. Obviously, hopefully Dirk can find some more pace, but Snack looking pretty good. At one point, he has been looking good in WR itself, in the single driver championship format. Currently P3 in the standings, has some race victories to his name. Just a few poor performances as to why he's not winning the championship, and as to why he's behind not just Siler but also Uncle as well. Nice. And there we go, P2, less than a 10th off pole position there. That's more like it, and that's what you'd expect from the Scottish outfit.
Yeah, where have you been, SCI, is going to be the question on everybody's lips at the moment. Dirk is on an in lap, so 6.5 seconds down, no improvement from him. Sergio also in as well. Mulder is 2 tenths down in the first sector, so there'll be no further improvements from him on this one. Keep an eye on Uncle as he's in the first sector, looking to try and improve. 140.374 is the fastest lap so far, set by AMR. So as it stands anyway, they'll be needing the 95 points gap for, I'm sorry, 96 point gap rather, for SCI to be crowned champions with AMR on pole position if they convert that to a race victory. GT10's Uncle coming across the line will be an improvement for the GT10 man as he goes up to P4, 140.713. Still a significant ways off of Ivan Eskrig, but at least he's on the second row as it stands.
Indeed it is. I thought Esco was going to complete his lap, but realised we were just over 3 minutes to go. Probably best to try and get in as quickly as possible, get a fresh set of instances on and go for one final push. That might be qualifying over and done with for Uncle. With now less than 3 minutes to clock, and he's only going through Stowe Corner. So in fact, I think Uncle has timed this rather poorly. He maybe should have boxed, and I think he might have shot himself in the foot a little bit there, but I suppose we'll just have to wait and see in the next 3 minutes or so. The same could potentially be said for Snack as well in P2 at the moment. He's just coming through Lovefield and Woodcut, and is not got at full pace as well. He's out of fuel, I think. So I think that's Snack also done for qualifying. So 2 drivers, I think, done. One obviously couldn't set a qualifying lap time, so we've got 16 drivers still gunning for pole, and the conditions are just improving, second by second, so it's still anybody's game.
Yeah, quick reminder then, of course, that this is the situation going into this race. Of course, SCI 515, AMR 412, RSC 375. If all of those 3 teams were to DNF here tonight, SCI would still be champions. So that is going to be all of the critical nature of this situation. So keep an eye out on the race as it develops. So, situation report as it stands so far, though. AMR currently on pole by just a little bit over a tenth of a second, make that 0.101 seconds at the moment, or is that 0.99? I don't know, either way. Situation report for Ivan Eskrig is leading the way from Snack, from Ryderall and Uncle. You've got Ventari up in P5 as well, as it makes it 5 different teams in the top 5 at the moment. What is turning out to be a cracking qualifying so far for fastest stay true. 7th and 8th, they share the 4th row.
Indeed, and Esco in particular has looked very good. Like I said, he was up on his previous attempt before boxing, obviously, probably the smart idea to do. And so, yeah, maybe keep an eye on him, because at one point he was actually, I think, P2 in qualifying. So, yeah, expect some time from him. And like I said, with 2 of the top 4 done for qualifying, Uncle's not even... has Uncle got enough fuel to go again? That is the question. The answer is he actually does. So Uncle is actually on a lap, and Snack has actually stayed out as well, so maybe they had just enough fuel to put in and go again. Maybe that's why they were going so slowly. But this is Uncle's final attempt. He will be the first driver to complete their lap time as coming through Chapel. Beckett's the maggots. I almost said it the wrong way around, that it's just so easy to get that wrong. But it's so far so good for Uncle. We're pointing in the right direction as we come through Copse Corner, going left rather than right, down into 5th gear through these tricky conditions, but taking it almost, bit too far off, and that is him done. He's invalidated his lap time, and Uncle is going to be no better than P4. He will now be looking over his shoulders as to what the rest of the grid can do, and it's Max van der Geest, who is now coming through Copse Corner himself, the first driver to go quicker, but he missed the apex there through Copse.
Just keeping an eye out here on Mulder as he comes across the line, gets started with his lap, left it with 1 second to go. Mulder will be the last person to set a lap. The first person to set a lap would have been Uncle on this occasion, but we think actually that we've got the likes of Max van der Geest coming through now to set his first lap. Of course, with Uncle not going to be going any faster with that 140.713. How critical could that be? Purple for Max van der Geest, and the Ventari man looking to try and get anywhere near kind of Leon's pace at the moment, up in P5 with a 140.10. He's not going to do very well through that corner, though. As he goes through Farm, he can see the car just washing out aggressively in that slow and medium speed corners with these wet tyres not falling, or intermediate tyres not falling very well indeed. Through then the final corner, which is normally turn 1, of course, as he comes across the line right now and does go fastest. Now we're into the 39s, 139.904. We have further improvements coming down the field as well. I believe the next person to come across the line will be Adrian here. That's the guy for FRT, as he goes even faster into the 38s. He goes there to go to P1 here, but have we got any further improvements coming in across the board? Next person to come across the line will be Leon, as he comes across the line, and it's a 39.6. It's well off the pace in comparison to Adrian. Alex Loffer comes across across the line. 39.0. It's turning out that lap time from Adrian is an absolute cracker. Epic Vale goes P3 overall. We've got another one coming in the back. It's Justin. It's an FRT 1-2. As it stands, the only two drivers to get into the 138 are FRT at the moment. Other people coming in. Max von der Geest, 39.9. With Harm coming across the line. They've got Dirk coming across the line with a 39.9 as well. Other lap times coming in. Pierre as well as Ryderdal coming across the line. Look at how close this one is. How's IRT looking here? Matthias Guillet can't improve. Will Mulder improve? I'm not so sure. We'll see when he comes across the line right now. He managed to go only P16. Wow, wow, wee, wow. FRT out of nowhere. The only ones to get to the 138s have only gone and locked out the front row.
Just kind of a repeat from last week from AMR, but like I said, it's FRT this week, and that has come, I'll be honest, out of the blue, because they weren't really there, but they got the lap in when it mattered, and part of that was down to obviously some drivers at the start of their final lap not getting the grip compared to those at the back, but then you had the likes, there's a number of drivers just so close together. I mean, Snack and being one of them in amongst a whole heap of cars, and couldn't get the pace that they wanted, and FRT with a bit of a gap to the other drivers, and it's what's put them on the front row of the grid, and they can set the pace.
I'll tell you one thing, if the race results are going to be like this one, we're going to Brazil for our final result. Anyway, we'll see you in just a few short moments. Don't go away. Welcome back then, folks, to WOR and the Legacy Division. We're here for our penultimate round of this championship. Coming at you live from the Silverstone circuit, and of course our reverse race here for this mystery round of season number 7. It is myself, Jota, James Hutton, alongside Boberts, Adam Roberts, for what will be a very interesting set of events ahead of us. Of course, April 21, the final round, or penultimate round, sorry, of this championship, bringing us at Britain Reverse. You are looking at what is going to be a very interesting grid ahead of us, because with everything applied as it stands, the Shizou Cedar Igniters have had an absolute shocker of a qualifying, which means that actually they've still got one hand on the trophy, but they will be taking it all the way to Brazil as it stands, with the gap difference being 86. They need to have a 96 point gap in order to be champions here tonight. Adam, pretty clear cut for the Shizou Cedar Igniters. They need to take the learnings from that poor qualifying.
They certainly do, yeah. 6th and 13th is certainly not what they would have wanted. And I mean, I think, to be honest as well, AMR, well, actually, I know, Alex is in P3, Ivan's in P8. I mean, yeah, it's not bad, but even then, I think they could have done a better job. And I think, they were caught out towards the end of the session by being too close to a number of other drivers, obviously besides FRT, who called it perfectly and could even reminisce what AMR did last week at Kota here tonight. But time will only tell. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, SCI, and especially Dirk, starting P13, will need to gain some places as quickly as he can, but obviously as cleanly as he can, not get involved with those around him. But obviously, the likes of Sergio just behind, he's got Epic Veil alongside him as well. It's none of these drivers are going to be easy to make moves. And then you've got Uncle down in P17 as well. What can he do from the back of the grid?
Yeah, of course, it was a bit of a tumultuous time, to say the least, for the likes of Uncle, who ended up struggling throughout qualifying in the wet. Of course, it was a really, really poor weather, wasn't it, in the end for the drivers out there. But the team that managed to come out on top in the end were FRT.
Yes, like I said, they called it perfectly. Right place at the right time and stayed out of trouble, which is, what people need to do on some. Well, and it was FRT this week who managed to, in the wet conditions, managed to pull it off perfectly. Let's see if they can reminisce, obviously, well, what is at least a complete role reversal in the fact that it's not a very wet qualifying like Joseph's Tears at the moment as well, and it's bone dry, kind of like the one summer day you might get a year.
Yes, so situation reports anyway for the people who are keeping an eye on is Leicester are being relegated as it stands, but that's just a thing we're keeping just one eye on as well in that little championship battle, while we're keeping an eye on this championship battle, of course, because SCI can be crowned champions here tonight. Gap needs to be 96 if they want to be champions here against the likes of AMR, who are P2 overall, and it can be 95, but that's dependent on whether Ventari or AMR are the race victors. But either way, situation is that they need to bounce back after a poor qualifying 6th and 13th overall for SCI here. They don't need to climb massive amount of points to be champions here tonight, but they ideally want to make some inroads here and try and get at least one of the cars on the podium.
Yeah, and by just doing that, it pretty much does cement, that championship, like I said, going back to back has been under us, Shizou Cedar Igniters. Like I said, it's been 4 years in a row, though, for Team Shizou as a whole, as an outfit as a whole. So, they'll be trying to get that done if they can. And what is, it's not easy. It's very hard to get one championship, but sometimes, though, Jota, once you've got the first, the others can soon follow in, very quickly.
Yes, certainly indeed. Just keeping an eye out for when the drivers are going to be getting going with this one as well. Situation reports as it stands is that in the midfield, anyway, that you've got the likes of GT10, who of course are in their own little world at the moment, who, they've got some potential inroads to make from the front. But what thing is for certain, we may be crowning a champion here tonight in the reverse track at Silverstone. No more waiting. Let's go racing then at Silverstone. Reverse FRT leading the way from the front then in the end. We've got Pierre Sharp getting a really good start against Alex Loffer as well. The RSC man climbing up to P3. Snack already making some inroads as well up to P5. Max van der Gees relegating down to P10 as he's battling with the other GT10 driver. We've also got Harm, who's had a bit of a horrible start as well, down to P16 overall, but Uncle making no inroads, still down in P17, making the road on though for Harm against P16. Epic Veil now up to P10 as we've got a big spinner at the back, and it looks like Max van der Geest.
It was Max van der Geest. I don't know if he was clipped ever so slightly or if it was just the the rear tyres not being warm enough and just didn't have the traction coming out of Stoke Corner, but nobody hit him, at least as he was facing sideways, so no damage for any of the cars in behind. Although I'm a bit worried with the fact that Dirk is now dropping places. Did he actually pick up damage? I take that back. Dirk did pick up damage. He's missing his front right end plate, whether that was contact with Max van der Geest or with somebody else maybe going into the first couple of turns. That's one SCI man now down into 17th. The other one at least has made up a place into P5 as Epic Vale and even Eskrig go dueling away, coming through Luffield and Woodcut Corner. Epic Vale on the medium compounder tyre versus the Ferrari on the hard tyre, and Epic Vale gets ahead. And now here comes Sergio trying to sneak that Red Bull down the inside, but no move there. But that's even Eskrid down to places. He aggressively defends that inside. Saw the late braking Sergio there, but look at the grip difference between those hard and medium tyres, and that is moved, done and dusted. Now Mulder, can he get a move done on that Ferrari that is just going backwards as Adrian leads the way from Justin? And look at that gap, it's 2 seconds already out in front.
Oh wow, we've got more inroads happening. There's a battle for AMR and RSC in the championship as well. They may think that this is going to be over and done with, but look around the outside. Snack will go in this one here against Pierre Sharp. In the end, the RSC man still able to just hold on there in that little battle as well. Really close racing between them at the moment as well. I'm just having a look at the situation for the championship, and as it stands so far, we're still continuing to go to Brazil. The points deficit being sliced here as we've got Ryderdal making a right mess here of a move against Snack, who actually completely caught off guard by that one as well. Great move from Ryderdal in the end. Snack though wants to get this one back here as they head through towards Copse Corner. No move available here for the French outfit as he then holds on for P6 overall. Situation though as it stands is that it's pretty clear cut. The championship is still going to Brazil as it stands here, as you've got this battle happening once again. Snack continuing to lose positions, not looking sharp at all for him as he's now down to P7 overall. What's happening?
Yeah, just that one mistake and being caught off guard by Ryder, but at least he just about got the move done. Back again on Leon, not losing that 6th place, but Leon looking very, very racy in these early stages. But Snack just about, well, I was going to say holds on, but that's a dive down the inside there from Leon into Farm Corner. Snack is going to have the inside, though, through the next left-hander, but the Williams with the better traction now coming back through the final few turns. And Snack, is he going to give up this position into through the left-hander? He does. He's down to P7. He's at least got half a second gap back to Epic Vale, so he won't be challenged. But that's 2 places lost in a lap for Snack, and with his teammate down in P17, SCI going backwards, unfortunately. The only good thing is even Eskrig has done the same, is he's still coming under threat now. He's got Uncle in behind him, who has at least, for his sake, gone forwards. He's gained 5 places in 2 laps.
Yeah, I think there's been a bit of an uncharacteristic situation that's occurred for SCI. They've not been able to adapt to the situation of going around a reverse circuit here, as Sergio has just managed to get into the head a little bit of Esco here. Oh, around the outside then of Beckett through Maggertz, gets that move done. Looking a little bit shaky to say the least though, as the FST man falls from 9th to 10th to 11th and make that 12th now, as Uncle tries to go side by side through Copse Corner, gets that one done now up to P11. Ivan Eskrig though on a hard tyre, bearing in mind he's the leading hard tyre of only 2 runners on the hard, the other one being Predestinato for the Bravo Racing Club down in P18. Harm losing more positions to Patrice Guillet, who now gets that singular point for 15th place.
Yeah, still side by side though, coming through Woodcut Corner, and Harm is trying to keep that 15th place like holding a baby tight to your chest, but Mattis there gets the move done in the end. And that is up to P50 frame. And here comes Data. Certainly was a bit of a dive there from Dirk, but we saw this on the previous lap from Leon on Snack. But round the outside goes Dirk, and even with that wing damage, he gets ahead of the Aston Martin. So he's back up a place. Mattis now picking up a time penalty already before the end of lap 3. He goes very wide, and so does Dirk, just to add insult to injury. But yeah, these 5 in the back really going at it as Max van der Geest is closed up to the back of them, and they've lost the DRS to the main train. But yeah, out in front, FRT doing a fantastic job. They're doing what AMR did. They've got that gap. Alex Loffer though is slowly closing in.
Yeah, just keeping a very firm eye on that situation down at the back here, because Dirk has just collided into the back of Harm once again. But Harm, Matthijs Guillet, with that time penalty, but now 1.6 seconds, even with the DRS available. I expect that Dirk is going to get that one done, and he's exactly done that. But the gap of 1.6 is going to be very critical, considering he has a missing end plate at the moment, does the SCI man, and it's looking more and more likely that Suzuki Igniters are not taking the championship here tonight. It might be taken all the way to the final race of the season in Brazil, even though they still have that one hand on the trophy as it stands. Anyway, lap 4 of 26 as it stands. FRT, not really spoke much about them, to be fair. They've managed to pull the gap of over a second against Alex Loffer, so FRT now just managing their own race pace for the next 22 laps, you'd suspect.
You certainly would as harm now picking up a time penalty, but Alex Loffer has closed half a second near enough on this lap alone. So that Ferrari certainly has pace. He's pulled away from Pierre in P4, who's not really under threat though from anybody behind him. So Alex Loffer's pace is absolutely fantastic, and he's closing in on the two FRT boys in front who might think they've got this under control, but there's a Ferrari getting ever so much closer in those well, useless wing, mirrors. Let's be candid, and I'll give it another lap, and he's going to be there, and we'll have a three-way battle for the lead. But yeah, Pierre certainly can't live up to the pace. But Snack himself is also struggling. He was out of the DRS. He's got it back again now. But yeah, certainly SCI struggling big style as Max van der Geest goes over to P17. So he's getting a couple of places since that spin on the opening lap.
Yeah, Alex Loffer's throwing everything in the kitchen sink on the last couple of laps, including the use of all of his electrical energy in the battery pack of that Ferrari. So he is trying to throw everything he can, every little bit of energy he can to get within the DRS and start recharging the batteries. And in fairness, it seems to have worked pretty well. He's managed to find now another quarter of a second, which has put him within around about 7/10 of a second between him and Justin. That's going to give him DRS, of course, as a result of that one. Now just needs to start recovering some of that electrical energy to keep him competitive. One thing is for certain is FRT's race, which was looking like they were just able to manage this race pace on their own, has suddenly got a very red problem right behind them.
It certainly has, and that bright red Ferrari is just getting bigger and bigger in Justin's mirrors, and yeah, he'll want to charge that battery, like you said. Now he's comfortably within the DRS, so yeah, he'll recharge that now and maybe go for an attack perhaps some point towards the end of this first stint. They're now 2.5 seconds clear of Pierre in P4, doing a good job for RSC, and Epic Fail in PA. This is the best that we've seen RSC for a fair few races in 4th and 8th respectively. Yes, it is early stages, but I can't remember the last time that they had two drivers comfortably within the top 10.
Lap 6 of 26, 20 to go in this race. The Alex Loffer now firmly within the DRS of FRT's Justin and Adrian. Now opportunity for FRT. What a qualifying it was from them, though. They managed to really do a very good job at managing the entirety of this of that qualifier. Of course, in the really pouring down rain, the only two drivers to get into the 138s were the two FRT men. So they're going to want to try and convert this one, especially with that very close battle at the moment for P4 and 5 in the championship. Or P1, P2 would be exceptional, to say the least, for the British team. But of course AMR have got their own little battle here, because of course they want to still have at least a fighting shot at taking the title in their first time of asking. The question though is if they are going to be able to benefit from the fact that they've got both of the SCI boys in sort of hot water at the moment. Dirk not getting a point, Snack in P7. They need Ivan Eskrig's hard tyre strategy to come some good here if they want to try and take a good point chunk out of the Suzuki Igniters here tonight if both of the drivers are struggling.
Indeed, yeah, but at the same time, they've got to look over their shoulders, because P2 is certainly not a guarantee for them. And one mistake by one of their drivers, not just the fact that it might settle the championship, could mean that RSC have got a chance still going into Brazil next week. You know, they are only 37 points behind, so there is still a chance for them to get that second place back that they've had for, you know, quite a number of well, for a prolonged period of time during this season. But the race certainly has seemed to have settled down now, though, Jot. Everyone seems to be just doing their own thing. I say that, though, actually, I'm talking rubbish. Here comes Ivan Eskrig on those hard tyres, getting moved on from Sergio, who ran a bit wide at Stowe Corner, and as a result, the hard tyre runner gets himself up into P9 now. So maybe we're at the point now where the hard tyres are starting to just be that slightly quicker tyre. Maybe we're at the crossover point now already on the start of lap 7.
Yeah, potentially for Ivan Eskrig. This is the important bit of the race here for AMR. Worth making note, I've just decided quickly did some calculations in my spreadsheet here for AMR. If just out of nowhere they managed to get a 1-2 here tonight after that one, they actually bring the points deficit between them and the Suzuki Igniters down to 46 as it stands, with a little bit of tax level well held from Eskrig. If they do that and convert it, that means that they will have less than, well, it's significantly less than a 1-2 finish at Brazil in order to convert that into a championship win. So it's still very much on the cards. Remember, you can get 73 points for a full conversion of a fastest lap, first and second place respectively. Epic Vale diving into the pit lane, by the way. It's the first proper pit stop now of this event here for those on the medium tyres. So sensing Ivan Escri's impending pace. So if they can convert this and get a good points haul, this championship still very much can be decided at Brazil in AMR's favour.
It certainly can be, yes. Obviously, they need a number of things to go their way, but never say never, and anything, as we know, can happen in the world of Formula 1 and league racing. Interesting call there by Epic Vale to pit onto the hard tyres. Obviously, we do expect it to be a one-stop strategy, but I think he's done that because his teammate Pierre has almost got the DRS off the back of Alex Loffer, and I think this is showing that the pace of FRT, as we've got a yellow flag, that is a kick Sauber of Matthias Goulet just going for a little half spin maybe with Harm coming along for the ride. But yeah, I think FRT's pace is dropped off quite considerably here, and Pierre is doing a great job. He's close from, what, I think it was 2.5 seconds at one point, and now he's just over a second behind Alex Loffer in front. So I think FRT's pace is slowly diminishing unless they're saving that battery considerably. But why would you do that? Why not have the gap? Especially to prevent yourself from any sort of undercut threat. And that's obviously what Epic Vale is doing. If he gets, go on to the hard tyres now, maybe Pierre is pitting this lap, and RSC might control the front of the field, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, situation report then, as it stands, is that the gap is 527 plays, 449. The gap is 78. So that, well, sorry, 79 rather. No, 78. Sorry. That will take this championship over to Brazil as it stands, but plenty of opportunities for more overtaking to occur throughout this one here, as well as we've got a 10-second penalty for Riederdal, and that is very critical for ET8. So I think epitomises what has been ET8's problem all the way through this season. They've got the pace, but they haven't got the consistency.
Yeah, and then again, it's mistakes and things like that as well.
Whoa, that's for Goulet as well.
Matthias Goulet. Yep, Matthias Goulet doing the exact same thing, unfortunately, for IRT. But yeah, ET8's issue has been, if it's not been down to pace, it's been down to silly mistakes like that. And yeah, that's just another. Riederdal's just added insult to injury, unfortunately, for ET8, who have just gone backwards in this championship battle. So Justin leads the way now to 2 seconds clear of Pierre. These two will very likely pit this lap, considering that Adrian did pit the previous lap. Epic Vale did not manage to jump Riederdal, but he was, I think, 3 places behind him, so he certainly gained some time, being just over a second behind the Red Bull in front of him now. But it'd be a case of where is he in relation to, say, the likes of Snacky, who was just behind, and Leon. He could jump those two and gain a couple of places. Yeah,
if my math has it worked out right, it's around about 9/10 he's managed to gain on this one here as Epic Vale. So he has gained a significant chunk of time compared to everyone else who, of course, has pitted now. So what's that gap going to be when everyone else on the medium tyres make that pit stop? One of those people being our race leader, FRT Justin, now diving into the pits as well, as is Pierre. And there's another problem, as RSC have now got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that might have just put a complete hash and stopper on them winning the championship, or having a good shout at winning this championship over in Brazil. That's a critical mistake for them. Mulder has decided to stay out on the medium, as has my vibration module going a little bit mental on my controller. Situation report for all of the other drivers, though, on the mediums have now pitted. So the last person to pit is IRT's Mulder.
DJ going for the longer strategy, going to have the fresher, harder tyres at the end of this race. We'll see how that pans out for him. But yeah, I was on board with Pierre as he was going into the pits, and that car was sideways near enough as he was trying to get that car stopped. And well, yeah, just broke a bit too late, and that's all it takes. But like I said, there we go. So there's the difference of pitting. 1 lap earlier, 2 laps earlier, and 1 lap later, for example. And look at that, his teammate is now ahead of him. And in fact, actually, now to add insult to injury, even more for RSC, Epic Vale has lagged out once again. He didn't qualify, and now he has done in the race. So that is, in the space of about a minute or so, RSC's, title chances and the chance at P2 in the championship is pretty quickly diminishing.
Yes, it's not looking very good at all for RSC. Their standards are slipping a little bit here at the moment. So Pierre Sharp is now going to overtake Epic Vale and let Epic Vale's Ghost continue the run. But as it stands here, with Epic Vale reconnecting into the session, the gap is now 50 points. Of course, remember, Ivan Eskrig needs to commit to his pit stop, and he'll be switching over to a medium tyre. Mulder finally in to get off of his medium tyres. But as it stands so far, anyway, is that, well, SCI are 520, AMR on 470 as it stands. So it's looking very, very good for AMR as it stands. If this hard tyre strategy works, that is the question. Situation then for him is that he will climb up to P4 with Alex Loffer, but he has actually made this undercut work an absolute treat because he's managed to do that extra lap over Justin, and he's come out in front of him, so he's currently in a net P2.
Indeed, yeah, that's the issue when you've got two drivers. You know, even if you are comfortably running 1-2, you know, one having to go longer or shorter than the other, and it's always going to be the second driver that loses out. In case it was Justin, he's still within the DRS of Alex, and he's got one lap fresher tyres, but obviously he has crucially lost track position. He has got Ryderdal behind him for company. Obviously, Ryderdal does have that 10-second time penalty, as does Pierre Chapp, so it's actually Leon is going to be the next driver, who will be a net P4 at the moment once the two leaders of Ivan Eskrig and Perez Sonato come off their hard tyres and go into the mediums. It's a case of when do they pit. You're probably looking somewhere in the region, maybe lap 14 is the earliest, and maybe to be sort of safe, maybe 15, 16 for mediums to the end as the cars get lighter. As Epic Vale's connection, it's not doing him any justice. That hamster is not going as quickly as it should. It's obviously having a break. And unfortunately, yeah, that's he's now just slowly slipping further down the field, now down into P12 and soon to be P13 as Uncle gets ahead of the Ghost.
Yeah, and I'm just keeping a very firm eye on the standings here as he falls down the standings. 394, 393, 392, 390, now at 390 now here for RSC as he drops to P13. It will be P14 in a few short moments if he doesn't connect in as quickly as he possibly can. Esco gets the fastest lap of this race so far, 128.766. That's the man at fastest stage true, currently P11 at the moment in the race. Ivan Eskrig following this man at the moment, 9-second, nearly 10-second gap to Predestinato. Remember, he is on the alternate strategy alongside Predestinato for this race, but the gap is around about 20 seconds between him and Adrian. Now you think, oh, that's not too far off a pit stop, but remember, this is a very, very long pit stop here at Silverstone, so you will probably need to find at least 25 seconds if you want to be in the lead of this race still. Of course, he's going to be losing time hand over fist being on the old hard tyres. Question is, though, when does he pit? Does he go for the 50-50, or does he extend this hard stint a little bit longer?
So I think he should maybe just extend it, you know, to 14. Like I said, maybe 15 will probably be better for him and have this, like I said, the fresher rubber at the end of the race. I think his target is he will come out behind everybody within the top 12, obviously, depending on when Predestinato pits, obviously. It's a case of will he be ahead of Mulder? I think is the key thing. Obviously, Epic Vale is there, but he still has a ghost car, unfortunately. But that is a 5-second gap between Uncle and Mulder, pretty much there. So I think that's the gap he's going to come out in once he eventually makes his stop now as he begins lap 13. But obviously, we have this big DRS train from Adrian leading it, who will be the net race leader. Then you got Alex Loffer, Justin, Ryderdal, Pierre Chapp, Leon, Snack, and Sergio rounding up your top 10 as it currently stands. At least, well, Sergio having an okay race. I mean, we know he's been around for some time, but do we think ET8 have... We know they've gone off the boil a little bit this season, but have they really dropped that much in pace in one season? I still can't quite believe it, to be honest, Jota.
Yeah, I think the problem, and I'll keep saying this as well, it's not a criticism of ET8 at all, but the fact is they've got an ageing squad, which, you know, we're old men now in terms of esports worlds here, Adam. You know, the fact of the matter is that, you know, when you get to our ages, you don't prioritise gaming, you prioritise going to work, you prioritise, you know, your family and all that. So it just comes into fruition that if you haven't managed to pack out your squad with, you know, young talent, fresh talent that can prioritise that little bit of gaming time in between all of what they do, you end up with an ageing squad that just can't commit to the practice, they can't commit to the, you know, preparing for these kind of events, and that's what ends up happening. So situation, unfortunately for ET8, is that less of a diverse squad has harmed them, and that's the reason why they're falling at the moment to their lowest position in WOR Legacy in around 4 seasons. Lap 14 of 26, 12 to go. Expectation is Ivan Eskrig and Predestinato will be considering their strategies in the next few laps, if not this lap. Gap between Predestinato and Adrian is around about 17 seconds. Gap around 18 seconds between Ivan Eskrig and Adrian. So in around about 2 laps, they've lost around about 2 seconds. So a second a lap at the moment.
Pretty much is, as I was watching Uncle there trying to get a move done on Esco, trying to get cutback after cutback if he possibly could, and using that battery to catch that Aston Martin off guard in through Stoke corner. Esco runs a little bit wide there. There was a small gap there for Uncle to stick his nose in, but in the end wasn't close enough to try and get a move done. DRS for the pair of them. Is there going to be a move on the inside into Chapel? Here comes the Haas, and then he's going to be round the outside for Beckett to then through Mag. It's a great move there from Uncle on the Aston Martin. That has been coming for over a lap and a half now, and he finally gets the move done. It's P11 on track. But what will actually really become the pit stops and the 10-second penalties actually is P7.
Yeah, that's the kind of racing that I would have expected from good old Tony Reich, Uncle himself, after what has been a little bit of a topsy-turvy WOR legacy form at the moment for what is one of the fastest, if not one of the fastest men on console. But situation report here is that it's not looking particularly good for our championship leaders. They are still at the moment 9th and 19th place. AMR the second place team, currently 1st and 4th, albeit Ivan Eskrig does have to commit to a pit stop imminently. Gap around about 17 seconds, so still around about a second a lap. So I would expect surely a set of mediums on that Ferrari within the next couple of laps. He needs to obviously make sure that he doesn't burn out those medium tyres, but he just needs to give himself enough time to make some overtakes, because that's what's going to be needed to be done, considering he's going to be falling right into the middle of a DRS train.
It certainly is, yeah. I think now today this is the lap to pit on. I think Ivan might be burning a bit of battery to just try and not lose too much time on this potential in-lap. But we'll have to wait and see, and then obviously Adrian will take the lead of the race as Sergio now trying to get a move done on Snack here, and this is not what SCI need. And here comes Sergio now. He's on the inside. We've got a yellow flag actually. That is a McLaren, and that's Predestinato. Is that a puncture for Predestinato? It is. It's a front right puncture. So that shows even these hard tyres are struggling to do 14 laps. But Sergio got the move done on Snack there to position lost and track position lost for the lead SCI man. And here comes Tony Reich now closing in on the back of that Alpine's rear diffuser.
Yeah, and of course they're going to be now considering the situation. Even Eskrig will be told you're pitting now. It doesn't matter what's going to happen, you are pitting. If he's on 14 lap old hards and they're going bang, I'm a little bit worried about the likes of Epic Vale on 7 lap old hards now going to the end of this race. If they're going bang after 14 laps with 10 to go, I have a sneaking suspicion Epic Vale's not going to the end of this race here. Dome Cool then is going to be coming around then the final corner, looking for switchbacks galore against Snack here. Even Eskrig surely is pitting. If he's not pitting, he's not pitting. Even Eskrig staying out another lap. I'm not sure what AMR are thinking here about this one. If we've got Predestinato with a front right puncture, why is he considering a longer stint here? This is peculiar, to say the least, from a team looking to try and put SCI under significant pressure at a race which has been probably one of their poorest races this season.
I can only imagine that his tyre wear is just that much better. I mean, I'm looking at that front right. That is the tyre that is taking the beating. Predestinato retires. No real surprise. Safety car. We have to say that's right in Ivan's hands. He's going to pit and be in the lead. And
I
AMR
don't believe that.
Will be first and third.
Where has Predestinato crashed out? I can't see on the map where he has crashed out, but is he retired? Where is he retired? I didn't see it on the track, but if he has retired in this race, that has brought out a significant situation here. I'm just keeping an eye out. It looks like to me I'm just following him at the moment on the replay here to try and figure out where he has retired on circuit. It looks like to me he's retired in the farm section, but I don't know if he's crashed out of the race. We're just trying to figure it out now. But the safety car's been brought out. That's allowed Ivan Eskrig right back into the mix here. So let's just see. He's coming through the farm. Yeah, he's going through farm and he's heading his way towards turn 1. He goes into the pit lane, and to me, has he stopped in the pit lane? He has. He's crashed out in the pit lane entry, and his car's then returned on circuit and brought the safety car out. That's what's happened to Predestinato. BRC, the bottom place team, might have just put this championship right back into the hands of those at AMR. Alex Loffer has been told to pit. He'll be switching over to a set of medium tyres as well. Ivan Eskrig is leaving the pit lane right now, but of course those in front are on old hard tyres. He won't keep the lead of this race, but P4 on a set of medium tyres. Alex Loffer will be P5 on a set of medium tyres. Wow, 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 wow. This is amazing for AMR.
when you said about the unlikely scenario earlier, Jota, about 10 laps ago of a 1-2 for AMR, it's now a very high possibility that could happen. I don't understand why. I mean, Radadal's got a 10-second penalty. Why is he not boxed? Why have neither FRT drivers boxed? The hards are going to... The grip is not going to be there for them unless they are banking on being able to hold up the field. But I don't see that happening. Well, I'll tell you what is interesting at the same time is that we have a mixture of medium and hard tyre choices here of what tyres everyone is going for. I mean, you got Sergio on hards, Uncle on hards, Pierre on hards, and a few others as well. And it's like, well, I mean, it's predominantly mediums, but interesting calls here. But it does bring the pack closer together. It means the 4 drivers at the back on their own, have another chance here, and maybe can put their way further up the field. But this is thrown right into AMR's hands here. They are now in a prime position.
So you know that meme of from Predator where you've got Arnie and Carl Weathers with the handshake?
Yes.
Yeah, that situation. Is this the situation for FRT, Arsenal, King at Bottlers? Because that's the situation that I'm seeing at the moment here, with both of the hard tyres at the front here, with even Eskrig and Ixloffer on the medium tyre. There is a slight concern in that Leon is also on a set of medium tyres, just tucking in behind both of the AMR boys. Sergio on the hard tyre, Snack is also on the medium tyre as well, with Uncle on the hard. Could these medium tyres go the distance? They could do. Ryderdal, they've pitted him. ETA have pitted Ryderdal a lap later. I know
why they've done that now, because they wanted Sergio, who didn't have a penalty, to pit first, so he's not held up by Ryderdal, who's now going to lose those 10 seconds. That's actually smart
clever.
thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that earlier, a lap ago. That's smart thinking by ETA. Allow the driver without the penalty to then, not be held up by the driver with the penalty. So yeah, Ryderdal will fall pretty much to the back of the field, but he now doesn't have that, and it means Sergio is in P6 and did not lose out. So rather than having a double whammy, it's just a single one for ET8. But it does mean that FRT are now defenseless. I think there's no other word for it. They are defenseless.
Yeah, so if anyone is interested at the moment in what's happening in terms of the title, I'm just trying to put my maths together here. With Epic Vale down in P18, without that singular point, RSC will officially be out of the championship, but this is the standings as it currently is at the moment. SCI on 528, AMR on 461. The gap would be 67, so this title will go to Brazil as it stands. But even Eskring and Alex Loffer have got a great opportunity to convert this to a 1-2. FRT will do what they can to convert their 1-2 start, their front row lockout, to a 1-2 finish. But on an aging hard tyre versus a brand new medium, it's going to be particularly difficult.
It's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, I don't know what the thinking is. I mean, I'd love to know who FRT's engineer is and that made that call for them to stay out, unless that was the driver's decision, thinking that nobody else would pit. And what, like I said, they've shot themselves in the foot. And I will call it now. I see them dropping way down the order. I mean, yes, they'll be out of the shenanigans of the midfield, as it were, but they've got to defend so much. I mean, we're not going to get going under green flag racing this lap. It will be the end of lap 19 into lap 20, so it'll be 7 racing laps for them to hang on as best as they can, but I just don't see it happening. And I think I think even those in the midfield, like the likes of Esco, Mulder and Pierre, who's obviously served his 10-second penalty, could even get ahead of them as well. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's certainly a turn out for the books. If one of them can hold on, then fair play, I take it back. But you're asking a lot of both Adrian and Justin.
Yeah, you are asking a lot at the moment anyway. Situation report as well, as I've just keeping an eye out to see if Leicester is still relegated, and I may have accidentally left the graphic on, so people just checking West Brom out on that one as well. I've been caught out there, lads, sorry. Situation report, lap 19 of 26 in this race. We're behind the safety car once again. Expectation is that we're going to be getting going with the race at the end of this lap. It will be a 6-lap dash to the end. The mediums will certainly go the distance. I've got a bold call here. Those hard tyres are going to struggle, because if we've seen Predestinato get a puncture on the 14th lap, as Epic Fail has reconnected into the session finally, but he'll be at the back of the grid in P18. But at least his race will not be completely done. He'll have at least get some opportunity to get some racing done. The situation, though, is pretty clear. FRT leading from the front from AMR in 3rd and 4th on a medium tyre. Keep an eye on Ventauri as well. They've got a championship battle for P3, 4 and 5 in the standings, especially considering the demise at the moment of RSC down in 11th and 18th at the moment. So Leon really needs to get his skates on here, as does Max von der Geest, both on a medium tyre. Sergio on a hard tyre and Uncle on a hard tyre, but Snack is in a medium tyre, as that little blip on the graphic indicates to me Epic Fail is now back in the session, and there he is. So no more AI for him, with the safety car now in control, or rather safety car in at the end of this lap. Adrian will have control over this grid as they now head their way around the next couple of corners. Situation is FRT really want to convert this 1-2, but their strategy is certainly being questioned amongst all of the people watching here tonight, as well as us as well. Are these hard tyres going to go the distance? Are these hard tyres even the choice tyre? That is the main question. Lap 19 of 26. They're coming around the next couple of corners here. Adrian and Justin will work with each other here to try and get the DRS off of the next lap, and hope that these medium tyre runners aren't going to get the jump quickly here, as you've got there Adrian going, and it looks like they have gone here, but they've not caught Ivan Eskrig out. Might have caught Alex Loffer out a little bit though, as they come across the final corner, and we go green again then here at Silverstone, and then leading their way Adrian from Justin. Ivan Eskrig will want to get this one done as quickly as he possibly can and not get stuck in the little DRS train. It looks like a little mistake already from FRT's Justin. Ivan Eskrig is all over the back at the moment of that racing bull, as they head their way then through Stowe, then down the back straight, of course, heading towards Beckett's Maggots. And it looks like to me Ivan Eskrig not getting the start that he wanted, but he could potentially look for it in that 3rd sector as he heads his way then towards the next couple of corners through Beckett's. There's a bit of a wide entry from Justin. Through Maggots they go as they head their way then towards Cops. Ivan Eskrig surely should get the traction out of the corner. A little weave from Justin, using the overtake as much as he can. Surely Ivan Eskrig side by side he'll want to go, but again can't get towards the back here, and Adrian is just edging his way towards the victory if they continue this one here. So Ivan Eskrig wants to get this one done. Switchback opportunity, well defended though from Justin and the FRT man as he heads his way through here. Snack making a mistake down to PA, sends it down that inside though. Ivan Eskrig wants to continue that pressure up as we're just following this little battle. AMR sense the blood here, and they want to get this one done as quickly as he possibly can, but locked off completely. Ivan Eskrig looking for it then through the farm chicane as he continues up that pressure. Around there, goes into the corner, makes a mistake, wants to try it, but again FRT, to be fair to him, are defending very well here with 5 laps to go. Ivan Eskrig is still stuck behind Justin, and there goes the DRS available for them in the end of the beginning of this part here. Is he going to look for it? Into the next corner they will go. Is he going to go for it? No, he won't, but you can see how much later on the brakes he's able to go, Ivan Eskrig.
Certainly is, and that's an entire lap there that Ivan Eskrig has just stared at the back of that racing bull. And Justin, to be fair, like you said, he's parked the car in the right place at the right time and didn't even give Ivan Eskrig a sniff of a chance of getting moved on here. But into Chapel we go for the 21st out of 26 times. Adrian still leads the way. He's going to make sure his teammate has the DRS and stays as close as he can. But in through the final part, in through Maggots and then Beckett. But Ivan Eskrig now coming to Cop's corner, gets closer and closer to that racing bull. He can take so much speed into the entry of the corner, but he just can't get a move on, and the dirty air just sends him out a bit wide. He's on the battery though, and he's got the inside line. Surely this is the move done and dusted for the lead AMR driver, and indeed moved done. He's into P2, and now he can set his sights on the lead FRT driver, Adrian. But now what can Alex Loffer do? He's got to get a move on. He's got more battery at least. Try and get ahead. Can he get into P3? He's going to be on the outside here. He's going to try it, but Justin just about hangs on. But surely this is going to be moved on and dusted. I say that, but it took them over a lot to get it done to begin with.
Yeah, very, very well defended, to be fair, from Justin, but I think he just gave it up at the right point here. But he's not left Adrian any breathing room whatsoever as they head their way down, closer around through here. Lap 22 of 26. FRT have defended very well indeed here, but Alex Loffer really wants to get this one done as Epic Fail gets the fastest lap of this race up to P15. Dirk still down in 17th here. It's going to be a pretty poor race for SCI as it stands, and it's going to be even worse from as it stands. AMR are going to be taking such a big chunk out of SCI's lead, but they still have that one hand on the trophy. Poor exit from the man down in P8 though. Snack losing it, going through Stowe. He's now down to P8 and he's now starting to struggle already at the moment as Uncle now goes up to P7. So Tony Reich making SCI's life a little bit more hellish at the moment. Alex Loffer trying to get all over the back of Justin, wants to get this one done as quickly as he can as they go towards Cops. Surely not side by side through here as he gets chopped off there. AMR have got every opportunity to get this one done, but they're inviting Ventauri right into the mix here. They need to get this one done as quickly as he possibly can, but as it stands so far, FRT are really making it difficult for them.
They certainly are, and I was on board with Ivan Eskrig as he was trying to get the move done around the outside of Luffield, and he couldn't get it done, but he was near enough sideways going through, coming into Luffield corner, but he managed to hold it together. But fair play FRT. I mean, yeah, we've still got 4 laps to go, but they're doing a fantastic job of holding on to what is now first and third rather than first and second. It means as well for the likes of Leon on his mediums, can't get a look in at all. He might have more battery, but he just can't get a look in with these AMR drivers trying to get ahead, as that's Max van der Geest now getting ahead of Pierre. That's him up into P11, sorry, as that I think was that Sergio trying to make a move on Leon? It wasn't actually, no, forgive me, that was a mistake actually, but lap 23 now, 26, Ivan Eskrig a bit closer this time around to Adrian than he was in the previous lap. Goes a little wide on the exit of Stowe corner. 3/10 is the gap. Is he going to be close enough into Chapel? The answer is no. Sergio's getting very close to the back of that Williams. I wonder, Jota, have these medium tyres gone already? And are the newer hards the better tyre to be on at this stage?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's the question as well here as well. Matthias Beer getting a 3-second penalty for his trouble. 85 points is the difference, by the way, between automatically qualifying for the next season of Legacy Division, of course, and down in P6. FRT really need these points at the moment as Ivan Eskrig is now getting closer and closer, and around the outside he'll have to go then of the next corner, colliding in with alongside Adrian. They'll send that one to the stewards, no doubt, if that one doesn't work out well for them as they head their way around the next corner. Adrian is throwing everything at trying to defend this one, but FRT are trying to turn this into the pole position and the second place into a race victory. Justin's doing a valiant effort to defend this from Alex Loffer, but with 2 and a bit laps to go here, the medium tyres are aging, and they're aging rapidly, and you can sense here that AMR, is this the missed opportunity that they've got with Snack down in P8 and Dirk not even scoring for SCI here? That AMR need these points, they need this 1-2 finish, and I'll tell you what, as it stands so far, they ain't converting it.
They certainly aren't, and, but I'll give FRT the credit again. They're throwing everything at the kitchen sink to make sure they can at least get this victory and a double podium paying position as well to go with it. With 3 laps to go here, Ivan Eskrig once again 0.3 of a second behind that Racing Bull going down the hanger straight, but he's not going to be close enough. Again, we've got a yellow flag in sector 1. That's the Aston Martin of Harm there, who's made a mistake or come to cropper with somebody else. So he's now dropped to P17 as a result. Ivan Eskrig getting close to the back of Adrian once again through Chapel, Beckett and Maggots, but nothing really happening coming into Cop's corner once again. Sergio, though, getting much closer to the back of Leon, who in turn is actually getting close to the back of Alex Loffer here. So have AMR burnt their medium tyres out a bit quickly in comparison to some of the other runners, like Leon, for example, who hasn't made any inroads or any attempt to overtake someone who is, though, his uncle on Sergio. I did not expect this. Down the inside of Lovefield. Sergio, though, is going to have the inside of the right-hander next, but Uncle is still there. We're going to be side by side down the Wellington straight. Snack has got a perfect view of this to see if these two come across, and we're still side by side through the right kick into the loop. And Farm is not going to be contact. That's a dive bomb by Sergio to try and get ahead of Leon as he tries to defend at the same time from Uncle in through Farm. Here comes Uncle on the inside. Sergio's got the traction. He maintained 6th place, but that was hair-raising.
Hair-raising to say the least. Here comes Snack as well. They need these extra points as much as they can do. The Shazoo Cedar Igniters, but no move there available for Snack as he collides into the back of Uncle in that one, and that is major front wing damage, and that is critical. He's the only point scorer for SCI here, and now he's got a bunch of people behind with fresh front wings. That is awful for SCI. They're going to be losing points hand over fist versus AMR. AMR might not be getting the best out of these medium tyres, but SCI's race has now completely collapsed.
It certainly has, and unfortunately this is whether if it's through own mistakes or just from unluckiness, as I suppose you could say, but Snack has a tendency of losing that front wing, and yeah, I mean, just got caught out by everyone breaking so quickly in front of him, and yeah, what can Esco do now? He's all over the back of that Alpine, the fastest H2 driver, going for a top 8 finish if he can, but for the lead, Ivan Eskrid going completely around the outside. Adrian tried to force him off the track and go as wide.
Go!
Top between the pair of them. Ivan's been sent into a bit of a half spin. Justin goes back ahead of him. If the other incident wasn't going to the stewards, that one certainly is.
Yeah, that one certainly will be as well. I'm just watching the replay on that one. Almost certainly, Adrian just jumped straight across, and I'm not going to lie, there may be a call from the stewards here to say he absolutely just cut straight across me, and now FRT have got the 1-2 back, but is that all going to be in jeopardy? One thing is for certain, Justin is now back in front, and even Eskrig will be absolutely livid that that's the scenario. We're starting the last lap of this race here, as this race is going from bad to worse for the likes of SCI. He's going to have to hold on as much as he can here, Snack, but the situation is simply put that this race, this championship is going all the way to Brazil. It's going to the final race of this season. But who is going to be the one that comes out on top? Adrian still has the race victory as it stands, but that one may be sent to the stewards. AMR have got P3 and P4. They've not managed to make this one work. Oh, Ivan Eskrig over the back of Justin. You can tell he's fuming, but he's now lost a big chunk of his front wing. He needs to carry this car home. This is critical here for the likes of AMR. If AMR have got any kind of knowledge here on this one, they'll tell Alex Loffer, get this one, just overtake Ivan and let Ivan try and defend from Leon here, because this has not turned out to be the race that AMR really, AMR have nowhere managed to convert a P3-4. They'll not be disappointed with that one, but they'll be disappointed that this strategy has not worked at all. GT10, Uncle and Sergio still in a battle, but locked off completely going through that corner in the battle for P6 overall. ET8, Sergio diving straight to the inside in that little battle. Uncle trying to get this one done, but doesn't look like this move is going to be done. Leon trying to get one done on there on AMR. What's happened there? Looks like Ivan Eskrig really struggling with the front wing here in this one here. It looks like it's going to be a conversion of the front row lockout for FRT, as Adrian will take the race victory here tonight. Justin from P2, Ivan Eskrig and Loffer finishing 3 and 4. It's Leon 5th, Sergio 6th, Uncle 7th, Snack in 8th, Esco 9th, and Max von der Geest rounding out the top 10. Mulder from Epic Vale, from Pierre, Ryderdal and Dirk rounding out the top 15. And then you've got Lek, Harm and Matthias Guillet rounding out that race. What a monster of a race that turned out to be in the end.
That was, I mean, give full credit to FRT where it's due, and the fact they didn't actually drop a stone down the field. But I think there's going to be a few questions and inquiries coming from AMR regarding the incident, obviously, between Adrian and Ivan Eskrig. And yeah, as a result of it, it means Justin obviously got back ahead. And even if, Adrian does get a penalty, Justin's going to win the race. So FRT still managed to win the race either way what happens, but we'll wait and see if any stewards' inquiries come out. But yeah, they've converted it, aggressively, but they've converted it nonetheless. But it does, like you said, the championship goes down to the final deciding race. Dirk did manage to at least get a point in the end. Whether that makes a big difference or not come the end of the championship standings, we'll have to wait and see. But yes, I mean, yeah, AMR, if you said to them, will you take 3rd and 4th here tonight, considering SCI will only score minimal points, they will have taken that happily. But what could have been for them? It could have been a 1-2.
Could have been a 1-2 indeed. So, situation report with the fastest lap as well for RSC. That is what the standings look like. 5:26, 4:61, 3:83 going into the final race of this season. But the situation report is that, there is definitely those numbers I've just given you, the 5:26, 4:61, 3:83 going into that final race of the season. You've very much got to take it also into consideration the fact that we've also got stewarding inquiries, which have definitely got to be called about FRT. I do think that we saw Adrian potentially just cut across maybe the AMR boy and end up making a little bit of a slip up. That might help AMR's chances in trying to take the title, but if the results stay as they are, the gap is 65 points. You only need 72 for the race victory if you get a 1-2. So if SCI have a Port Brazil as they've had here tonight, AMR have still got a shot at potentially taking this title, but as it stands, the gap is now 65 going into our final race of the season next week at Sao Paulo. It's a sprint race weekend, of course, as well. Look, to be candid in this one here, Adam, it was a mixed bag. Britain reverse always brings a little bit of chaos. We got a puncture as well. So what are the expectations going to Brazil? A little bit more normality, or is it going to be just as chaotic?
I don't even know what the word normality means anymore, for brutally honest. I don't think there is any form of normality when it comes to league racing, and I think you'll find people will still be going hammer and tongs at it. And I think AMR, even though obviously they've gained heavily tonight, they've gained nearly 40 points pretty much. They need to gain even more next week. Now all they can do is just do what they can and maybe get a 1-2, but then you still got to hope that SI just score very, very minimal points in both the sprint and the feature race. So they need to, they've got to count what, I don't know how many gold stars or wishes that they have, but maybe throw all of them in for next week perhaps to try and get a surprise championship win for them. But what might still go in their favor though is obviously if they do get if FLT do get a penalty, they'll gain even more points, even though SCI themselves will get a few more points. It's not a bigger difference as to what it is, for example, moving from third to second and from fourth to third.
Yep, and look, the bottom line is all of this is going to be wrapped up, I think, in the stewarding room, which is a bit unfortunate because we'd have preferred, a bit more of a definitive answer, but nonetheless, a very, very interesting race. That's going to be for a very interesting season. That's going to be decided at the Sao Paulo Brazilian Grand Prix next time out for the sprint. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time in Brazil for what will be our title decider. Take care. Ta-da. Nice work, mate.